Alright guys, so in this last project we're going to be building a complete CRUD application using ES 2015 modules. Okay, now everything we've done up to this point has been able to run right in the browser. We haven't had to compile any code, but with modules they haven't been implemented in browsers yet, so we do need some help. So we're going to use the Babel Webpack starter kit that I created that I have on GitHub here. And basically Babel is used to transpile ES 2015 plus code down to regular ES5 code, and we need to do that in order to use modules. And then Webpack gives us a nice workflow so that we can use NPM, we can create static assets, and we also are using something called the Webpack dev server that will allow us to run an auto load server in the browser while we create our application. So it's a nice little workflow, and I'm not going to go through creating this actual starter pack. If you're interested in that, you can look at the Traversy Media YouTube channel, and I do have a video on that. Just search for Babel and Webpack. Alright, so to use this we will need npm. As you can see, we need to run a couple npm commands, so you will need Node.js installed. So you'll need to go to nodejs.org and just download the latest version, and then you'll have npm on your machine. Now if you're on Mac or Linux, your standard terminal should be fine, but if you're on Windows, I would suggest not using the standard Windows command line, which is the cmd, which is this right here. I would suggest using something like git bash. Okay, that's what I would recommend, and you can get this from git-scm.com if you just go ahead and download and install it. Alright, now I already have Node and git bash installed, so I'm not going to go through that, but they're both very simple to get up and running. So what I'm going to do now is just create on my desktop a folder called microposts. That's going to be the name of the application we create. And then what we want to do is get the files from that GitHub link. So it's github.com/bradtraversy/babel_webpack_starter. Okay, and we can you can clone it using Git, or you can just go ahead and click download zip, and that'll download the zip file. And we can open that up and just go ahead and open up the main folder here, and then bring everything over to the micropost folder like this. Okay, so that will get our project set up. Now we're going to want to open this with a command line or a terminal, this micropost. If you installed git bash, you can simply right click the folder and say git bash here. And let me just pull this down, and now you can see we're in the micropost folder. If we look at the GitHub page, we need to run npm install, and what that's going to do is it's going to look at the package.json file. It's kind of a manifest file, and it looks at all these dependencies and installs all of these. So it installs Webpack, it installs all Babel and all the different presets that we need, the Webpack dev server. It does all that for us. So let's go ahead and run npm install, and make sure you have Node.js installed, or npm won't work. Alright, and as you can see, it created a Node modules folder, and it has all kinds of dependencies in there, but we very, very rarely touch anything in the Node modules folder. Alright, so now that that's set up, what I'm going to do is open up microposts in Visual Studio Code. Now from your text editor, you can actually do code dot, and that'll open Visual Studio Code up in that folder. So I'm just going to snap that over. Alright, and Visual Studio Code actually has an integrated terminal, and you can get to that by going to View, Integrated Terminal, and you can see it pops up down here. Or you can do Control and then tilde, and you can toggle it that way. Now, if you're on Windows, by default, this will be PowerShell. It won't be git bash like you see here. If you want to use git bash, let me just get rid of that. If you want to use git bash, you have to go to your Preferences, Settings, and you have to add over on the right side here this terminal integrated shell windows, and then you want to point to your git bash location, which is this by default. Once you do that, then you'll be able to use git bash down here. Okay, just to mention that. Now just to go back to our package.json, I just want to show you up here where it says scripts. So basically we have two commands that we can run to do two different things. One is build, and to run this we actually have to do npm run build. That'll run Webpack and that'll compile our code down to ES5. Now our main app file is going to be in the source folder and it's called app.js. And all I have in here is a const greeting hello world and then just console logging it. So this is the file that will get compiled down to ES5 if I run npm run build. All right, and it'll get put into a folder called build. So let's go ahead and try that. If I go to my command line, I can either go over here or down here. I'll just go down here and I'll say npm run build. And that's going to have Webpack create this build folder for us. And if we look inside, we have an app.bundle.js file. And this is basically, there's going to be a bunch of crap that you don't understand here. But if we go down to the bottom, let's see, where is it? We're looking for the variable that we created. Let's just search for hello world. All right, so right here, so you can see that this is var greeting. Even though in our main file we use const, it got compiled to var because var is ES5. Okay, so anything we put in this app.js file or any modules we connect to it is going to get compiled to ES5 that can run in the browser. Now, if we look in the index.html file, you'll notice that the file that we're including is the app bundle file. So this is the compiled ES5 code. So we're not actually putting the app.js code right in the index.html. We're putting the file that the bundle that gets compiled. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Basically, stuff that we can put stuff in here that isn't yet implemented in the browser so that it gets compiled to app bundle, and then we include app bundle in our index file. Now npm run build actually creates the build folder and all that stuff. If we want to just run our server, we can do npm start. And you can see that for me it's open on where is it, right here, port localhost port 8082. I believe the default is port 80, but I think I have something on 80 and 81, so it opened on 82. So let's go ahead and try that. Localhost colon 8082, and there we go. So we get my JavaScript app, and that's what we're seeing here in the index.html. If I do if we look in our console, just reload, we see the hello world, and that's coming from our app.js. Whoops. Technically it's coming from the bundle file, but it's getting compiled from our app.js. So let's go ahead and snap this to the side and this to over here. And now we're ready to start building our application, and we'll be able to use modules. Now we have the dev server running down here in the integrated terminal. I don't really want to do that because I want this freed up for any other commands that we need to run. So I'm going to Control C and stop that. And then I'm going to go back over here to the git bash window and run npm start. Okay, and I'll let the server run here so that way we have this command line open. All right, and our application will still run. All right, so in the next video, I want to talk about ES 2015 modules. That's the main reason that we had to set up this whole environment here. So I'm going to show you how we can create another file and we can export stuff from it into the app.js file.